My name is Andy Ellis, and I am running for governor of Maryland in 2026. I am seeking the Green Party nomination, and I am excited about this race and about the opportunity it poses to speak to everybody in Maryland about the problems of the two-party system and the ways we fix it. I've long realized that the two-party system doesn't really work for me. I think as early as college, I was understanding the two-party system was part of a capitalist, part of an imperialist, part of a white supremacist, and part of a patriarchal system. And I think I supported some candidates outside of the two-party system for a while, and encouraged folks to run and that type of thing. But it was really 2015 after Freddie Gray was killed by the Baltimore City Police while he was in custody that I realized that I needed to do something different. I looked around at all of the people in the city of Baltimore who knew what the problems were and what the solutions were, and I looked at the politicians, mostly in the Democratic Party, who didn't have the ability to implement those solutions on behalf of the people. So I joined the Baltimore City Green Party. At that point, I became a steering committee member. I became a co-chair, and then in the 2016 election, I helped to run a big slate of Greens. In the 2018 election, I ran myself as a state delegate candidate on a slate with Glenn Ross. In 2018, it was the biggest slate of Green Party candidates across the state we've ever had. In 2019 and 2020, I helped to get ballot access. In 2021 and 2022, I helped work at the state party, the national party, and the local party. And then after the election in 2022, I realized that I could run a kind of race for governor that would help the Green Party to get the ballot access that we need. The Green Party, as a small party in Maryland, needs to get 1% in the presidential and the gubernatorial election in order to maintain ballot access so that we can run candidates each year. And when I looked at the 2022 election, I saw that Nancy Wallace and Pat Elder, who were our candidates that year, had done really well. They got about 7.8% or 0.78% of the vote. And that happened when they started their campaign in July or August of that year. So at that point, knowing that the problems in Maryland weren't going to be solved by either of the two parties or by the two-party system, and that we could do a pretty well gubernatorial campaign, I threw my hat in the ring, and that right after Election Day in 2022, and here we are today, 2 years into it, and I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have coming up in 2026. In 2026, I think success for the Green Party looks like running as many candidates as we can up and down the ballot, raising issues that are denied by the two-party system, mobilizing Green voters who don't normally vote, or mobilizing unaffiliated voters, or even Democrats or Republicans who don't normally vote. I think we have a lot of ways to have success. Particularly for my campaign, there's a couple of key goals that we're going after. The first goal that we're going after is to get the 1% that we need in order to get ballot access. This is something the Green Party campaigns for governor have never done in Maryland, and we think we're well on track to do it. If we can do it, it means that we start the 2028 election cycle, where the Baltimore City elections are, where I live, with an ability to go ahead and file candidates. It also saves us hours and hours of work and probably tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So that's goal number one, getting on the ballot, getting 1%. Goal number two is to get on the debate stage. In the past, Maryland Public Television has screened out candidates from small parties from participating on the debate stage. And we think when voters don't get to see all the candidates and the choices they have in front of them, they gravitate back to the two parties. But we know that when voters see other options, their interest in those options immediately peaks. So through a variety of methods, we are going to be pressuring Maryland Public Television, the Maryland General Assembly, and anybody else we can in order to help us get on that debate stage in that Maryland Public Television debate for the gubernatorial general election. A third goal that we have is to qualify for public financing. In the state of Maryland, if you raise $120,000 from 1,500 Maryland voters, with none of them giving more than $250, a campaign for governor can qualify for public financing. If we were to do that, we would be the first small party to do that. We'd be obviously the first Green Party to do that. And it would really give us an opportunity to get our message out, to reach voters, and to run a full and awesome campaign. And I think the last goal that I would say here is to get to 100,000 votes. 100,000 votes would be a high watermark for parties outside of the two-party system in Maryland. And I think it would tell voters and it would tell the government and it would tell everybody that people are fed up with the two-party system. They know that it is not serving them and they want something different, something more democratic, and something that works for everyone. One lesson that I would share with the next person who's thinking about running or organizing Greens is this work is hard, it is important, and it takes time. You cannot simply start a race without having put the work in and expect to break through the media, expect to reach all the voters, and expect to have your message resonate. So, not to say you shouldn't run a Green Party campaign that you decide to run in August of the year of the election. But you should understand that the work of building multiple parties in the state of Maryland, building a solution and a system that is different than the one we have right now, requires a lot of time and it requires a lot of work. For me, the last 2 years, I've been traveling around the state. I've been having conversations with people, all of that stuff in order to craft a message, in order to craft relationships, and in order to be able to be out there spreading the message, spreading the ideas, and knowing the people to talk to as you're doing so. So the one lesson that I would give somebody who is new to this is it takes time and it's okay. Give it that time. Say to all the people who are out there, the No Kings and the Hands Off and all the other protests, the protests against Gaza, against the genocide in Gaza, the protest against the ICE raids, the protest against the autocratic government, is to come and find a home here. We think that almost all of the issues that people are protesting about since the Trump administration has formed are a result of a couple of things. One, billionaires own both parties, and two, the two-party system is a trap. We think that these things are pretty plainly true, and we think that these things are what are at the root cause of almost all of the problems that we face right now. And we think the answer to that is to build political power outside of the two-party system so that the two parties, the Democrats or the Republicans, cannot take us for granted and cannot tell us that this is the best it can be. We know it can be better. We know it has to be better. And we have a party that has spent 25 years working on a platform that addresses the issues that we face today. So we say to those folks who are out there protesting, come join us. We would love to have you here. We would love to build something that gets at the root of the problems you are protesting. This is a great question because I think that if the Green Party is going to succeed as a party in the state of Maryland, if we're going to break through the two-party system, if we're going to push to a Maryland that is just, fair, democratic, peaceful, and with ecological wisdom, we are going to have to build relationships with movements for racial, climate, and economic justice across Maryland. Well, how do we do that? I think the first thing we need to do is to be open to talking to folks. Just because somebody has backed or worked with some Democrats in the past does not mean that they are not open to working with other people in the future. Additionally, they may not have an understanding of how the Green Party can help them help their community. And we have to be very clear about explaining those things. If we think that we can be helpful to a racial justice movement, we have to listen to what they need, and we have to figure out how what we have to offer can help them achieve their goals. If we can start doing that, even if we're not winning and holding seats at the highest level, we can begin to begin to build power for the party in a way that helps people. If we can build power in a way that helps people, then we can begin to move forward. So this may look like showing up at a protest. It may look like signaling. It may look like sharing a petition out or something like that. Those are entry level steps. It may also look like conversations about what those organizations and those movements' political needs are, and figuring out how we may be able to help them with them. I think there's a lot of stuff that we can do to help those people who are fighting for justice in their communities to have more power and more leverage over the politicians who they need in order to get those policies enacted. And I think we have to be really willing and open to have these conversations. Too often, we have been willing to try to build our own things instead of figuring out how to interact with the movements that already exist. And I think if we can sit there, have the good conversations, build the enduring coalitions, and understand how our political role as a third party challenging the two-party system can help them to meet their needs, then we can begin to form authentic and honest relationships and alliances that are built on common interest and common need. And if we can do that, then I think we can really begin to build a power base that helps to destabilize the two party system, build something better, and move us toward a Maryland that works for everyone.